Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. We're glad you all can be with us. We're going to bring in our friends over on Instagram so they can be a part of our conversation. If I can get them hooked up here, it doesn't seem like they're they're hooked up. We're going to see if we could get Instagram in, and then we're going to bring in our friends over also on Amazon as well. Have a great guest that's joining us today that I'm always excited about being able to speak with. Let's see. I think we got it there. I think we got Instagram now. Let's see if it is live. Looks like it may be. There we go. And we have Instagram now joining us on our platform. And now, last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon. We're excited to welcome back award-winning author and historian Tina Siemens to our broadcast today. Tina's the author of the books you all can see here. Of course, she has Seminole, Some People Never Give Up, Post Oak, as well as The Little Sandals That Could. I have my book here. Want to talk to Tina not only about what's been an extraordinary year for her, but as we're beginning a brand new month, also the importance of history. One thing that Tina has done is been able to share her own family history and her own personal history with the world through her books. Want to talk to her about the importance of that for her, but also what it's been like for her through her books and her museum to share that love of history with others. Tina, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it.
Thank you again. It is always a joy to be on with you on any one of your shows and to share the love of history.
Well, I
Truly a joy.
appreciate it. Look, it's always a pleasure of mine as well, Tina. So, Tina, let's begin there because you and I have talked about this before. But for those, I tell people we always have new viewers and listeners that are joining us on these platforms. You started off just want to be able to leave a record for your family. But what has it been like for you now to share that record with the rest of the world?
It is such a joy. Every time somebody comes up to me, like it happened just a few moments ago. I was
Mm,
speaking at a women's conference this last weekend, and the one of the waitresses in the restaurant that I had lunch, she came up and said, "What was that one book or what was that film that you were talked about during your speech?" So it is such a joy for me that people they take to heart what I've what I'm talking about when I speak, and their takeaways to hear their takeaways from the thing that I love so much, and that is history. And for me to be able to share that with the world and not just my own family is a joy. It truly made history, me being able to share it with the world.
yeah. And I think it's something what is so interesting about your particular story, Tina, which is why I'm always fascinated to talk to you about this. This was not your plan. It was not your plan to be an award winning author. It was not your plan. I mean, to be able to now be doing these speaking engagements and everything. How does it feel to have been able to embrace the call? Because I think for our audience, a lot of times we realize that we're being called to something that maybe we didn't even have it in our minds to do. What was it like for you to embrace that and to go with it?
I'm just so grateful that it didn't happen overnight.
Hmm.
I was accumulating the courage, and it was through people like you that just encouraged me. Like Dr. Welma would often say, that finger in the back, you can do this. But it is such a joy for me to realize that I didn't have to make all of these changes and these decisions over a night and then just be plunged into it. It was combining the love of mine of history, and naturally if you love something and if you were called to do something, then you already have the tools to do so. So for me it
Yeah.
came natural once I had that in my mind that I wanted to share it on a broader spectrum. And so when that became reality, it has been an amazing journey, and it keeps unfolding because I'm just in the beginning of truly having a platform to share it worldwide.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that. And I love that you said it that way, that you're just in the beginning, Tina, because it is a journey. Now, it all began with this book that our audience will hear, Seminole, Some People Never Give Up. From there, then you wrote The Little Sandals That Could, that told more of your own personal story. And even you added some personal parts of your own life to this one. We're going to talk about that. And then your newest book, though, that's getting a lot of attention, that incidentally was announced today to be one of my 25 books you need to read, nonfiction today. We announced that today online. Talk to us about Post Oak and what inspired you to write this and the connection to your own story, Tina.
Well, the bottom line is history. I start off with not only Texas history, but American history. And Quanah Parker, the last chief of the Comanche Nation, is worldwide known. So it just happens that in the area where I'm at, Seminole, Texas, was one of the many ranges that the Comanche Nation was on. And so for me to have grown up hearing about Chief Quanah Parker, that was just a given that I would love that part of the history, even though there's very dark chapters in that history as well. But then about 2 years ago, I connected that with my personal family history. So the Post Oak, where the title comes from, is actually a little church that is still in existence that my third cousin got permission from Chief Quanah Parker to build, and that was 1896. Can you imagine that little church still being in existence today? And so for me to be in contact with the congregation, and the elderly in that congregation remember the beginning of Post Oak, how their grandparents attended it, and these that are now elderly, they attended the school of Post Oak. So it is such a personal journey for me to have gone through this story. And I am so grateful to be able to share that with the world, because it combines the love of my family history as well as the United States and Texas history.
Yeah. So talk to us about what it was like for you. I thought about this when I was prepping for today, Tina. We got to know you as a little girl in this book when you were 8 years old. But you write about Cynthia Ann Parker in Post Oak also being around that same age, 8 or 9 years old as well. What was it like for you to look at her experiences and what she was able to go through, but also the way that you share it in the book, the tenacity and courage she had as well?
Well, it just shows that you're never too young to start experiencing life. And those decisions, like the altering decisions that my parents made from me immigrating to a new land, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, and then I could identify so with Cynthia Ann as she was kidnapped by the Comanches. She grew up among the Comanches from the age of 9, and she was there for about 24 years. Then she was re-kidnapped by her white family back to Texas. So what the trauma that she endured through all of this, and yet she found joy in her journey. She was married. She loved being married to the chief, her husband, the father of Quanah Parker, and she had the joy of motherhood. And when all of that was taken away, she practically gave up on life, and she willed herself to not eat. And so it's a sad ending, but it just goes to show that no matter what your age is, you are experiencing lessons that you will take with you the rest of your life.
Right. Such a great point. I want to say hello to Brandon Coleman over there on IG. Hello to you, MB. Good to be able to see you. Forget the fairy tale. Hello to you over there. I want to say for those of you who are joining us, no matter what platform, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're speaking with Tina Siemens. We also are broadcasting on the radio side at Max WYED 94.1 FM, WYEDonline.com, as well as through our podcast at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music. Tina Siemens is an award-winning author and historian. We're talking with her not only about the book she's been able to write, but also the history she's been able to share as well. If you all have not gotten her books, they're available here on Amazon, so you can make sure to be able to get those. Tina, we talked earlier about overcoming fear. And I should also mention that Tina is one of the co-hosts of another show on Amazon Live called Words That You Should Live By as well. I want to talk about what that's been like for you personally, Tina, because I think a lot of people would look at you now and say, you've written 3 books, you're doing this speaking. 2 years ago, you started the museum. So they probably look at you and think that you're fearless. But what has that been like for you to be able to conquer your fears? You're achieving these milestones.
I think the way I've conquered fear is because the joy and the drive to share that with others was greater than my fear.
Mhm.
So if you allow the fear to take hold, you will be frozen in place.
Yeah.
And if you conquer the fear, then you will be able to move on. And so I chose to move on. I chose not to allow that to cripple me. And for me to be able to look back in the rearview mirror now and say, I've been able to do this
Hmm.
because I did not allow fear to take a hold of me. If we
Yeah.
choose not to move forward, then we will get stuck. Or this is a great tip that I'll never forget. One of my pastors as a childhood once said, there's no such thing as standing still. It's either you're moving forward or you're sliding backwards. And
Mm.
so fear can make you start sliding backwards. Fear is the one thing that will prevent you from moving forward. So I just embrace, because I want to experience further things that are coming down my pathway. And if I
Right.
allowed fear to take place, those things wouldn't have happened. And I'm so grateful I chose to move forward.
Mhm. You are, we have talked before about you being an example, Tina, but the one example that seems very personal and important to you, we see in your book, The Little Sandals That Could, and that is your family. I love the fact that in this particular book, you allow us to see the pictures of your grandchildren there in the kitchen, spending time with you. I also love the fact that in this particular book, you share one of my favorite things, which is recipes. Uh, because who doesn't like food? Talk to us about what it was like for you to add those personal touches, Tina,
Yes.
of the recipes and the pictures of your family to this particular book.
Well, that's the beauty of history. If you don't share that, it's going to go dormant and it's going to
Mhm.
be forgotten. There's proof that statistically, if you don't share history, the third generation will just say, "I heard say."
Yeah.
So they to do a history that is going to continue, you've got to share it with the younger generation. You've got to share it. And what better place to start is with your own children and grandchildren. So that
Right.
was one of my biggest things, to want to share it with my grandchildren. And they love now part of the history. They've not come to a point where they know all of the history, but because they've heard me talk about it from a very young age, when they will grow up, they will know stories that I wasn't privileged to know from my grandparents. I had to go look for them. And so I'm just so grateful to be able to share it with the next generation. And that is where the museum comes in, with the school groups coming in. I can instill in them the love that I have for history, and hopefully they will be able to take that with them into their future, so that they can do something that their dreams are made of.
Yeah, such a great point. Chris is giving you a compliment over there on Facebook. Tina, he says, so many different hats. Truly an amazing human being. Chris, she definitely is. It's been great working with Tina over the years, but also we met for the first time last year in North Carolina, where I just came back from. When she received an award
Yes.
for this particular book, ironically, There's a Little Sandals That Could. So
Mhm.
you released Post Oak this year. Let's see, The Little Sandals That Could. Let's see, when did it come out, Tina? 2022. Can you believe that now, 3 years later, this
Yes,
book is still speaking to people the way that it is?
I know. It is. It's amazing, because I say that was my COVID book. When we were shut in and we couldn't travel, that's a book that came out because the story was there, and I
Hmm.
needed to tell it from the eyes of an 8-year-old. And so I'm very grateful. It's kind of a children's version of Seminole, but
Hmm.
speaking through the eyes of an 8-year-old, how they experience things is totally different than when you're an adult, how you perceive a situation. So children's books are a mighty powerhouse to the younger generation.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So you've been very busy, especially as you were referencing, and I talked about Tina with the museum. But speaking has become something you've been doing quite frequently. Now, if I had said to you 5 years ago
Yes.
that you were going to be traveling, Tina, doing all this speaking, would you have believed it?
Absolutely not, because I was a local person. I was two, three people in front of me, but not via Zoom or via interviews like this, and certainly not with groups that would be 100 or plus people. But
Hmm.
it's something that I have truly embraced, and I am so excited about what the future holds, because I know I want to be that encouragement. I want to be that inspiration to somebody else. And they may have heard it for two times or three times before, but if I can be that next voice that will encourage them, then it's all worth it. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunities to share.
Love that. So, last thing I want to talk to you about, Tina, and that is what I mentioned. You also are one of the co-hosts of A Word That You Live By. At the time that you and I are having this broadcast, Word That You Live By that we did on Monday is the number one media show right now on Amazon. And ironically, it was just the two of us
Wow.
on, on
Yeah,
Monday
that's
because Dr. Bama
amazing.
was traveling that day. What has that part been like for
Yeah.
you to embrace a new title as media personality?
I don't know if that has fully sank in, but it is. When I go back to on the social media platforms and see my face on an episode, it's like I do a double take back. Is that truly me? And then I just immediately say thank you, Lord, for the opportunities, because our messages are worth sharing, and
Right.
it may not be for everyone, but those who do hear it, it is something that I pray they will be encouraged by.
Hmm. I love that you said that, Tina, that it may not be for everyone, because this is what I've always told people. When people used to say, don't you want to be in front of this amount of people and all of this, and I always say to them, it's not about being in front of a certain crowd; it's about being in front of the right crowd.
Mm.
And I think a lot of times we
Amen.
confuse that, and we think, having millions of followers or, being in front of,
Mhm.
but if it's not people that you're literally connected with or connect with you, there's not a real point to it, right? Other than just saying the number that was there. What has helped you with that to realize that not everyone is going to not only want to hear what you have to say, but not agree with everything you say? What has that been like for you to embrace and move on with, Tina?
Well, that's a privilege of each individual's, to be able to
Hmm.
filter through what they want to take away, or do
Yeah.
they want, like, there's so much that the world is offering nowadays for
Yeah.
an individual to stay on, whether it's 20-minute interview or 30-minute interview. If they stay on, that means that they are there intentionally, and
Hmm.
they are wanting to have a takeaway. And so for
Right.
that particular person, it will be meant, because I don't think anything happens for just by chance. There's always a purpose for everything. And so I'm
Right.
so grateful that those who do take the time to listen to where you and I are encouraging the world, they will
Hmm.
be blessed, because God has given us a message to share.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful there is an audience for that particular one. I'm
Yeah.
reminded of, my mom had a little saying in her Bible when she passed, and she said, we don't have to witness to the whole world. We just have to do it one at a time.
Yeah.
And if that one person has a takeaway from it, then it was worth the time.
Yeah. I love that. And I totally agree. That is my mindset as
It
well.
was
I've
worth the
never been
time.
hung up on the
Mhm.
numbers. It really is about the impact. And I think that's the big thing for sure. Again, everyone, Tina Siemens has been our guest. She's an Amazon best-selling author, motivational speaker. She's a historian, as well as co-host of Word That She's a Lip on Amazon. We've been talking with her about her love of history, what it's been like for her to share it in books and through the work she's been able to do at the museum. Of course, all these books are available here on Amazon. You can get them all. Each one has their own story they're able to tell, but I bet there will be lessons that you will take away from them as well. Tina, always great having you on. How can our audience stay connected with you?
Always great to be on, and thank you for the opportunity. I am on all social media platforms as Tina Siemens, and you can go to my website or email me at seminalthebook.com. Can't wait to hear from you.
And we've also tagged Tina as well. As I mentioned, her book Post Oak is one of our 25 books you need to read nonfiction that we just announced today. So you can be able to find the full list by going to booksyouneedtoread.com. That's booksyouneedtoread.com. You'll find the full list there, or you can go to my social media and you'll see Tina tagged there. Tina, always great to speak with you. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you. Same here.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.